Hey everybody, welcome to Coaching Moment Mondays. Hey, every Monday we're releasing a special mini episode of the Echo Leadership Podcast to help answer a couple of your questions that you've submitted to us today. And Andy, we have another question from one of our listeners that we wanted to get covered today. So you got 2 minutes, man.
Let's do it.
Hope you're feeling good. All right, so this question was sent in, and the question is, what does it mean to be a good leader in today's climate? Okay. So let me kind of phrase this where we're at right now in case somebody's jumping in. We're in the middle of 2020 right now.
Yes.
Just went into Q4 2020. This is COVID and a whole lot of other stuff that hit this year. So what does it mean to be a good leader in today's climate?
Yes.
You ready?
Yep. Part of leadership is always assessing the situation. So if you're in a war, like they say some leaders are good wartime leaders, like Winston Churchill, you would lead differently than if you were leading a Fortune 500 company or if you're leading through a crisis. I love the movie Sully. It's the story of the airplane pilot, and he's flying over the Hudson River, and the planes go out, so the geese fly into the engines, and he's got to land the plane. And in the midst of that, he lands the plane safely. Everybody gets off the plane. There are no casualties. That's crisis leadership. When you're in crisis leadership, the goal is to land the plane and have the least amount of damage possibly. But when you get through a crisis, which I would say in some ways we're now through a crisis, and as we look at this in Q4, we're not where we were in Q2 in March or April of 2020. So you got to start painting the picture for the future vision. And you're asking the question, where do you want to be a decade from now? That's the question we've been asking. Where do you want to be long term? When you ask that question, you look at the organization through a different lens. You make decisions more long-term. You set things up for future success. And then your goal becomes not to survive, but to position so that you can thrive after the crisis. So I would say assess where you are in the crisis. Some industries are still way more in the crisis than others. And then based upon your industry, figure out if you're still at solely and you need to land the plane, or you need to shift to begin to ask, what does success look like a decade from now?
That's really good. Hey, man, great job.
Thanks.
You've learned a lot in 2020 so far. Hey, everybody, we hope this helped you today so you can go back and begin to assess your situation and lead your team no matter what you're facing together right now in the climate that you lead. Hey, if it's been helpful for you, we'd love to have you subscribe, like, share, and then join us each month as we release a brand new episode of the Echo Leadership Podcast. If you want to get those show notes so you can follow along with that podcast or get notified by email of anything that's being released, you can go to Echo.Church/leadership podcast. That's Echo.Church/leadership podcast. Sign up right there, and then we'll see you in a future conversation where our goal is to help you become a little bit better leader each and every week.